Hello everyone. Welcome to the English Talking Today podcast. I'm your host, Emily, and today we're diving into a topic, how to talk in English without constantly overthinking every word. This is a common struggle for people learning English, and it's a huge barrier to fluency. My goal today is to help you break free from that habit so you can speak more confidently and naturally. You know that feeling when you're in the middle of a sentence and suddenly your mind goes blank? Or when you spend 5 minutes trying to translate a simple phrase in your head? If that sounds familiar, this episode is for you. We're going to talk about why this happens, how it holds you back, and most importantly, practical ways to overcome it. We'll get real, share some stories, and give you tools you can use right away. So, whether you're on a walk, commuting, or just relaxing at home, stick with me and let's learn how to finally talk English without thinking. Let's be honest, we've all been there. I remember a time in college when I was trying to ask a professor a question, and I kept replaying the sentence in my head, debating if I should say, "Could you explain?" or "Can you explain?" and whether explain was even the right word. By the time I was ready to speak, I just said, never mind. It was so frustrating. I also had a similar experience in a job interview. I knew exactly what I wanted to say in my head, but I kept trying to make it sound like perfect English. I paused, corrected myself multiple times, and the interviewer just stared at me. I think I lost the job because of my own overthinking. These experiences are so common, and most people don't realize how much mental energy goes into just talking, especially in a second language. It's not just about grammar and vocabulary, it's about the pressure we put on ourselves. We worry, what if I make a mistake? Will I sound stupid? Is my accent too strong? This fear creates a kind of mental block. It's like trying to drive a car with the brakes on, you're moving, but it's painfully slow and full of self-doubt. The ironic thing is, the more we overthink, the worse our English sounds. It becomes stiff, unnatural, and not how people really talk. That's why we're going to tackle this head-on today. It's totally possible to speak smoothly even if you make mistakes. It all starts with letting go of that need to sound perfect. Let's get into why our brains get in the way when we speak. What's really happening up there? A lot of people think their problem is a lack of vocabulary or not knowing enough grammar rules. But the real issue isn't the knowledge itself, it's the processing. It's not that you don't know what to say, it's that your brain is trying to do too many things at once. You're trying to translate from your native language, analyze grammar, perfect your pronunciation, all while staying calm and trying to have a conversation. It's like trying to juggle while also doing complex math problems. There's just too much happening and your brain freezes. We call this a mind block. It's when your brain is overloaded with the pressure to perform, and your thoughts get stuck instead of flowing out naturally. This block usually comes from fear, the fear of making mistakes, the fear of sounding weird, or the fear of being judged. That fear triggers a perfection mode, where nothing feels good enough, and you start second-guessing even the simplest phrases. For example, imagine you want to say, "Yesterday I went shopping." Instead of just saying it, you might think, wait, is it go or went? Should I say yesterday first or last? What if I get the tense wrong? By the time you've figured it all out, the moment has passed, or worse, you just say nothing at all. That silence becomes a habit, and your brain starts to believe it's safer not to speak than to mess up. But here's the truth. Native English speakers mess up all the time. They pause, say, use the wrong word, and start sentences over. It's completely normal. Speaking isn't a perfect science, it's a flow. And when we treat it like a test or an exam, we block that flow. So, if you've ever felt that brain freeze, please know you're not alone. It's not a sign of a lack of intelligence. It's a common mental pattern that can absolutely be unlearned. The key is to get out of your own way, and that's where the idea of talking without thinking comes in. Now, let's talk about what talking without thinking actually means. It might sound a little strange, but we're not telling you to turn off your brain completely and say careless things. It's not about being reckless. It's about letting go of over-control. It's about speaking without obsessing over every word, without filtering, and without constantly stopping yourself to double-check the grammar in your head. It's similar to learning to drive a car or ride a bike. At first, you have to consciously think about every single movement, but eventually, it becomes automatic. You just do it. That's fluency, and that's what we want with speaking. The cool thing is, your brain already knows more English than you give it credit for. You just have to trust it to speak without micromanaging every single word. Trust is the key word here. Think about how kids learn to speak. They don't stop and ask, was that the past perfect tense? They just try, mess up, and keep going. Their confidence grows naturally because they aren't judging themselves every second. Adults, on the other hand, often feel they need to be perfect before they can speak, which is completely backward. You don't become fluent and then speak. You speak, and that's how you become fluent. That's the core philosophy. So, when I say talk English without thinking, I'm talking about building the courage to speak freely, trusting what you already know, and letting the conversation flow. When you stop overthinking, your natural rhythm, tone, and confidence begin to shine through. That's when you sound real, and that's when people truly connect with you. And isn't that the real goal? So, now that we've talked about the idea, let's identify some of the real-life mistakes and mental traps that keep people stuck. You've probably done all of these, so if you recognize yourself, don't worry, you're human. Trap number 1 is translating in your head. This is a huge one. It's when you try to form your sentence in your native language first, and then translate it into English, word by word. The problem is languages don't work like math. The structure and rhythm are different, so the translation often comes out awkward or just plain wrong, and you feel stuck. It slows you down so much. Your brain is trying to find the English for every single word, and by the time you've figured it out, the conversation has moved on. Trap number 2 is grammar obsession. You're in the middle of a casual conversation and suddenly you're debating whether to use the present perfect continuous tense. Or you're at a coffee shop and you're worried about conditionals. Nobody cares. Just get your coffee. Perfection slows down fluency. Mistakes are a natural part of the process, and often, native speakers don't even notice them. Trap number 3 is the fear of judgment. This one is subtle, but incredibly powerful. You start thinking, what if they laugh at my accent? Or what if I sound stupid? That fear makes you go silent or speak so quietly and slowly that you lose all your confidence. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You get so worried about sounding bad that you end up sounding exactly how you feared. The goal is to get your point across. You may not be perfect, but you can still be confident and connect with people. If you find yourself in any of these traps, translation, grammar obsession, or fear of judgment, don't beat yourself up. Just recognize the pattern and move forward, because awareness is the first step toward change. Now that we've identified the traps, it's time to talk solutions. How do we actually stop overthinking and start speaking with confidence? It all starts with your mindset. No matter how many exercises or tricks you learn, if your mind isn't in the right place, you'll keep hesitating. The first mindset shift is to prioritize progress over perfection. You don't need perfect grammar to communicate. You need clarity, confidence, and consistency. Think about it. When someone speaks to you in your native language and makes a few mistakes, do you care? Probably not. You appreciate the effort and the connection. The second mindset shift is to understand that fluency is built through use, not waiting. Stop waiting until you feel ready to speak. Speak now. Speak messy. Speak often. Now for some concrete strategies you can try today. First, try thinking in English. Even when you're alone, just narrate what you're doing in your head. For example, I'm brushing my teeth or I'm going to the store. You don't have to say it aloud, but you're training your brain to stay in English mode. This is so powerful. Another great one is the shadowing technique. Listen to a native speaker in a podcast, a YouTube video, or a movie. Pause after each sentence and repeat it out loud, trying to match the same tone and speed. This gives you no time to overthink. You're just speaking. Next, try the 1-minute freestyle. Set a timer for 1 minute. Pick any topic, your weekend, your favorite food, your dream job, and just speak nonstop. No stopping, no editing. Just go. A pro tip is to record yourself. It might feel weird at first, but it allows you to hear your progress over time and get comfortable with the sound of your own voice in English. You can also use filler phrases to keep the conversation going. Things like, let me think, what I mean is, or, well, it's kind of like. Help you stay in the flow even if you're searching for the next word. Native speakers do this all the time. It's completely okay to pause and say, you're human, not a robot. Finally, here's a crucial strategy. Don't pause to look things up mid-sentence. That kills the flow completely. If you forget a word, just explain around it. For example, instead of pausing to Google can opener, say, the thing you use to open cans. That's what real fluency looks like. All these strategies work because they shift your focus from correctness to communication. That's the secret. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be understood. When you let go of the pressure, speaking becomes fun again. Now let's actually try it. This is your moment to speak English without overthinking. We're going to do a quick speaking challenge right now, wherever you are. There's no pressure, just play along. Here's how it works. I'll give you a topic and you'll speak about it for 1 full minute nonstop. It doesn't matter if you repeat words, pause, or make mistakes. Just keep going. The most important rule is no translating in your head. Say whatever comes out. Trust your brain. Ready? Your first topic is my morning routine. Go ahead and speak for a minute. If you're actually doing this, you're already ahead of most learners. You're training your fluency muscle. Let's try one more. The topic is a place I love to visit. Again, no planning, no perfect sentences. Just describe it like you're telling a friend. If you felt awkward or stuck, that's completely okay. That's how you grow. Over time, this gets easier and even fun. Remember, fluency comes from flow, not from fear. The more you speak without stopping yourself, the more natural it becomes. Challenge yourself to do this every day. 1 minute, one topic. That's all it takes. To wrap things up, if you've made it this far, take a moment to be proud of yourself. You showed up, you listened, and you practiced. That's what growth looks like. Remember, speaking English without overthinking isn't about being fearless. It's about being brave in spite of the fear. Every time you choose to speak, even if it's messy, you're rewiring your brain and creating a new, more confident version of yourself. I want you to take this episode as a reminder. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need fancy words. You just need to show up, speak, and trust yourself. Trust your instincts. English isn't just a skill. It's a bridge to connection, growth, and new experiences. So, keep going, keep practicing, and most of all, keep believing that you can speak freely, because you absolutely can. Thank you for being here with me today. I hope this episode helped you feel a little lighter, a little stronger, and a little more ready to speak without thinking. This has been English Talking Today, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and talk boldly. Before you go, if this episode helped or inspired you even a little, make sure you're following or subscribe to the podcast. We'd love to hear from you, so leave a comment and tell me what's one sentence you spoke today without overthinking. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button and share this with a friend who's also learning English. Let's grow together. And don't forget to check out my other episodes for more deep and honest conversations just like this. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and most of all, keep talking.